Magnet television.
Magnet television.
Magnet television.
You're watching Magnet television because what else are you going to do?
Thanks for joining me. I'm Robyn Hitchcock, relaxing at home with some friends it's safe to relax with. This here is Perry the Lobster, a gift from Howard Thompson, an old friend, former A&R man who's now a DJ up in New England. And this is Jermaine, a token of my deep love from Australia, for Australia. My love for Australia is also so deep that my wife is Australian, but I'm not married to Jermaine, nor is Jermaine married to Perry, but they're often seen together in these socially confined circumstances. Those who can cluster together do, whether visually like this or on the net, you know. I always thought we turned into phones, and I was right. I hate being proved right because most of my prophecies are really terrible, terrifying, doomy. That's why I keep a song in my heart, and every day I rock out. Since you ask, my all-time favourite song ever since I was 13 is Visions of Johanna by Bob Dylan from this record, Blonde on Blonde. It's a double album, and I love it so much that I have at least 2 copies. Here they are. I think one's stereo and one's mono. When I first had it, there were no stereos even. Visions of Johanna is what led me into wanting to be a songwriter, and I still listen to it probably once a week. It's a fantastic polar contrasts of moods. It's both really sad and very funny. Bob Dylan at his best, and for me it's always been a template for songwriting. The version here on Blonde, and there's quite a few of them, has got quite a sort of driving beat. It's almost danceable, you know. If you want to go somewhere and never have to come back, I recommend Visions of Johanna. It's seen me through nearly 55 years, and I'm sure it will see me out and into the next universe and possibly the one after that. On ya, Bob. The record that changed my life is inevitably 2 records. The slow release record that changed my life is Revolver by the Beatles, which I heard at the same time I first heard Visions of Johanna back in 1966. The more specific galvanizing record was Barrett, the second and last record by Syd Barrett, who was the man who launched Pink Floyd and then had a breakdown and fairly quickly was gone altogether. Listening to Visions of Johanna by Bob Dylan gave me a direction at 13, 14. I knew what I wanted to be, but how was a home counties kid from Surrey ever going to be a Jewish boy from Minneapolis? Well, the answer to that was this enfant terrible from Cambridge, England, Syd Barrett, who in background was much closer to me. I don't really know that much about him, and he stopped being Syd quite soon and became Roger. But for 3 glorious years or thereabouts, he was this saturnine beauty, Syd, who's pretty much everything he played or wrote or sang, I think, is tinged, more than tinged with genius, suffused with genius. Unfortunately, apart from the first record he made with Pink Floyd, his 2 solo albums are pretty decrepit, and after a lifetime as a professional musician, if I listen to Barrett or the one before it, Madcap Laughs, I can really hear the sound of somebody struggling, and not only the performers struggling, but the producers struggling, the engineers, and the other people trying to play with him. They are kind of a mess. On the other hand, the Beatles, after 50, 55, 60, a gazillion years, whatever, still sound as immaculately produced, recorded, played, written, arranged as ever. This, which obviously has input from 3 great songwriters, where Barrett was simply Barrett, is, again, a kind of unnaturally condensed amount of talent, as if 3 jugs were pouring cream into one tiny glass. I don't know how they managed to get it all in there, but they did. This one has 3 George songs and quite a few John and Paul songs. They're developing as songwriters, but they're still kind of in the Beatles matrix, the Beatles nest. They haven't become that distinct. They've all got the same sunglasses and the same hair and pretty similar shirts. As a songwriter now, I'm more influenced by the Beatles than I am by Syd Barrett or Bob Dylan. I mean, I still love them, I still listen to them, but as a musician, and I've spent 50 years working on minor sixth and harmonies and all that stuff I knew nothing about, I am still intrigued and magnetized by the Beatles, and in a way every song I've ever written has been an attempted Beatles song. Not only that, but all my colleagues, all the musicians I've met and worked with over the years, all of us refer back to the Beatles. I don't think I've ever worked with anyone for any length of time who hasn't adored the Beatles. And to this day, if you want to keep us occupied, you just say, well, now what's the second chord of the Sun King? Is it C major 7th or is it E minor? I mean, it's just one of those beautiful labyrinths from which you never need to emerge. And the Beatles will totally see me out. And I love the other two too. So God bless you. My favourite moments of playing music professionally really stretch back an incredibly long way. It's an ocean of time. I don't think any one gig stands out, but I've been lucky enough over the years to play with so many amazing musicians in so many places. But, you know, going from people that I've sadly have just gone from us, like Bill Rieflin and Matthew Seligman, to people who are luckily salvaged, like Scott McCoy, and then just looking back at the lake of friends and collaborators I've had, people like Annelise Frøkdal and Frode Stromstad from I Was a King in Norway, Jenny Adajayan, a fantastic cello player who works with me in Britain and Europe sometimes, Emma Swift and Annie McHugh, both Nashville-based but Australian transplants, and thinking of Australia, people like Davey Lane, who's always a joy to play with, and Kenny Gormley from The Cruel Sea, Gillian Welch, David Rawlings, they're not far away, Pat Sansone, just up the hill, and you know, all my old friends from Cambridge, Kimberly Rue and Maurice Windsor, and of course Matthew until very recently. Just a panoply of people that I've just been lucky enough to spark off or confuse or haul along with me or be hauled along by over the years. And I also enjoy doing my own solo shows. For me, the essence of a gig is that it's fluid. You don't repeat yourself. You don't have the same set list every night. You're not tethered to the same songs. You're not tethered to the same speeches. You're not tethered to the same audience. I've never been burdened with a hit, so there's no one song I have to play. Everyone wants their money back. For me, the whole live experience is a work in process. I can't remember when I started, and I don't know when I'll finish. I simply view the whole thing as one long, continuous seam, and I send my love and gratitude to everybody who's been with me, peering out through the little portholes of the journey we've been on, and I hope we get to do some more. Well, being on stage is embarrassing in itself, so you tend to develop a kind of carapace. You harden yourself to the shock and embarrassment of being sort of publicly naked in a way. However, one particular moment stands out, which was playing Glastonbury in 1987, and I stomped to the front of the stage at the beginning of the set wearing a wolf mask and holding my Telecaster guitar, and I began to play a kind of spangling string of notes, and I felt extremely confident. I thought, yes, it's a muddy Glastonbury, but there they are, they're mine. I've got a wow, chicka-boom, Hitchcock. So I strode to the mic and then put my foot on the volume pedal to boost the sound of my spangling instrument. Unfortunately, the roadie had plugged the wires in the wrong way around, so suddenly my guitar just went silent, and we then had 3 minutes of me standing there in a wolf mask while they plugged things in the right way, and I guess the gig never really recovered from that. But that's what gigs are for. Hey, this is Robyn Hitchcock, and this is Perry the Lobster, and you are watching Magnet Television. Love on you.
Cine.